It's June 16th, Tuesday, June 16th, 2026, and Ukraine just penetrated into Moscow. They're not supposed to be able to do that. Remember all that air defense that's ringing Moscow? But they did. I'll show you what just happened. So let's look at overnight strikes. Moscow Oil Refinery, enemy command posts, and warehouses have been hit. According to preliminary information, the primary crude oil processing unit, ELOU AVT6, has been damaged. Fire has been recorded, again, in Moscow, 15 kilometers from the Kremlin. It's one after another. Every day, it seems there's either one or sometimes two, sometimes even three strikes on oil refineries or depots or terminals. During the night of June 16th, 2026, units of the Defense Forces of Ukraine struck the Moscow Oil Refinery in the Moscow region of the Russian Federation. It's a humiliating morning, says Jay in Kiev, for the Russian dictator, as the largest refinery in Moscow and one of the largest in Russia now burns after a barrage of Ukrainian drones bypassed the country's most protected airspace. Like that's really the big story. This is the most protected airspace perhaps in the world. I mean, maybe the U.S. has certain places that are more protected, but like think about hundreds of air defense systems ringing Moscow, and they still got through. Processing 12.8 million tons per year, 245,000 to 250,000 barrels per day. This refinery supplies roughly, and this is part of the key, roughly 35 to 40% of the fuel consumed in Moscow and the surrounding region. And I'm seeing now, yes, Sunday I was showing you my economic update in Russia and how like the gas crisis is becoming severe in Crimea, Krasnodar, that kind of area. I was just reading that there are problems between St. Petersburg and Moscow and limits on gasoline there. This is going to have an impact on them. When we get to the very end, you'll see why this is so important. Okay. Putin pulled nearly all of Russia's key air defense to Moscow. Right? Remember that? This morning, drones set the capital's largest oil refinery on fire anyway, and it's only 15 kilometers from the Kremlin. Like, he could see this through the window. 500 kilometers from Ukraine. Now, again, all this air defense, all several hundred positions of Moscow's Panzer air defense this morning be like, and it has these images overlaid of Morgan Freeman just caught napping. He's sleeping, right? They're sleeping while this is burning. Okay. And all this is around it. Okay. Moscow mayor says last night's attack on Moscow is one of the largest this year. Preliminary analysis again indicates that the blaze broke out at the the ELOU AVT6 primary oil refining unit. I don't know a lot about this, but these kind of things are like the heart of the oil refineries. And if you strike that, very bad things happen. Okay, fuel shortages reach Moscow and St. Petersburg as Ukraine strikes squeeze Russia. At this time, says Zelensky, Moscow region felt the reach of Ukraine's long-range capabilities. An oil refinery was hit at a distance of 500 kilometers. I thank the warriors of the Security Service of Ukraine, the Unmanned Systems Forces, the Special Operations Forces, Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Missile forces for their effective work. Russia must be forced to end this war against our people, and Ukraine's long-range weapons are one of the important components of this pressure. This was just a response to Russian strikes and the dragging out of a war that must be ended. Here we see the video of the refinery on fire. This is what Zelensky posted. And there's the drone going in from various angles, including that Wildberries that you just saw. I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, unlike Russia, Ukraine targets not the 1,000-year-old cradles of Eastern Christianity, but the foundations of the economic means by which Moscow finances the war. We are not the same. We want an end to war and end to this war and peace, a just and lasting peace. Okay, so let's look at this. This is the Unmanned Systems Forces showing a map, and they're showing where it hit and showing where in the refinery, and then you'll see some video imagery of what the strikes look like. So they're hitting certain places within it, and then this is the drones coming. These are the drones coming into it. I'll show you a better image of what happened or the strikes in just a moment. But yes, this is, yeah, it hit in the heart of Russia, in the heart of Moscow. More footage of the Moscow refinery, one of the top 10 refineries in Russia. The oil refinery is supposed to provide full independence to Moscow metropolitan area, including fuel needed by local airports. It's heavily defended object due to strategic significance. But here's the drone just kind of waltzing its way in, right? You see the big plume off in the distance? That's it. Oh, I'll show you the drone coming in just a moment. Here's, yep. Yeah, so that's that. And here's some additional footage. You can see it from different angles. Drones reportedly struck also a Wildberries warehouse in Moscow suburb, setting the building on fire. The employees were urgently evacuated from the facility as flames spread after the UAV impact. There's Ukraine also struck a fuel depot in Krasnodar. Gasoline crisis widens. The depot fed filling stations in a region that already ran dry weeks ago. Krasnodar is in bad shape, just like Crimea is in bad shape, and it's only going to exacerbate the problem there. Ukrainian attack drones hit this facility, and you can see some of the imagery here of it on fire. See that? That's not supposed to be smoldering like that. That's what happened. Okay. Russian strikes. What was happening there? If we look at this, we see at the night of June 16th, there were 132 strikes, UAVs, and 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, 114 total shot down. So that's 86% shoot down rate. Not great, but there wasn't a lot comparatively. Russia launched these missiles and drones. One civilian killed in Kherson when a drone struck a minibus. Medical workers were wounded in an ambulance attack, while 8 people, including children, were injured in the Kharkiv region. So, yeah, I mean, this is what they do every day. Battlefield update: 1,230 Russians off the battlefield. If you've been paying attention for the last couple of weeks, that's a pretty low number. It's been up north of 13 and upwards beyond that for the last couple of weeks. 1 tank, 5 armored fighting vehicles, 36 artillery systems. When we get down here, 417 vehicles and fuel tanks. That number's high. 2,062 UAVs. Let's look at Ragnar Gudmundsson's dashboard. Engagement and casualties below the 7-day average. Russian gains of 13 square kilometers have been confirmed. 16 air defense systems destroyed in the last 7 days. That's notable. All Russian strike indicators are below average today, and 12 Ukrainian strikes were reported, including that strike on Moscow. Okay, I want to talk about the vehicle losses, daily vehicle losses. What do you know about this chart? This is the top 10. I mean, we can go and we can look at more of it, but this is just top 10. Look at the days. All the top 10 are in May or June of 2026, right? Look at that. I mean, it's incredible. And what is today? June 16th. Top 6 greatest vehicle losses. And again, all of them, all the top 10 are within the last month and a half. Okay. The Pokrovsk direction, 22 attacks. Hulipole direction, 16 attacks. Lyman direction, 16 attacks. North and northwest of occupied New York, 10 times. And Sloviansk, 10 times. So you can get a sense of what's going on the battlefield, where, again, Pokrovsk is still the leader. And if we look on this side, you can kind of get a sense of the rimming of the battlefield and where things are, the hot spots are. Pokrovsk is number 1 and Hulipole number 2. All right, additional stories. Just a couple things and we'll be done. Aftermath of the strikes on the bridge located on Russia's land corridor to Crimea. This is another bridge that's been attacked. They keep going. I'm pretty sure the goal here is to strangle Crimea. I don't know if that's going to force Putin to come to the table, because losing Crimea, gaining the other 4 territories, but losing Crimea seems like it would be like such a a rebuke to Putin and his ambitions, and that might be something that forces Putin to the table. I don't know, but I think this is the strategy. A Tu-22M3 strategic bomber operated by Russia crashed in Irkutsk region. Now, this was not, I don't believe, taken down by Ukrainians, but there it is. There's the bomber going down, and if we just scrub forward, we see, yeah, it didn't go down in a good way for the plane. Yeah. So this was yesterday, not last night overnight, but during the day yesterday. Cord, who typically specializes in close combat, struck a warehouse 47 kilometers south of Kherson. It shows when the necessity for all combat units to master drone warfare. Again, drones, this is the thing now. And with ranges to which all combat units are capable of touching, and the flexibility that drone power brings to combat units. This warehouse was so far from the front that geolocating it was difficult for Andrew Perpetua. I mean, wow, that alone is impressive. So, and he goes on to explain who Cord is. Cord, the Rapid Operational Response Unit, is Ukraine's elite police special forces unit. They are the first to respond when situations become truly dangerous. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022, Cord transformed into combat beasts. Kyiv's Cord operators ambushed Russian tanks and BMPs during the offensive on the capital and the Battle of Brovary, turning highways into kill zones. They have conducted numerous raids, neutralized sabotage groups, operated on multiple fronts, including the most challenging urban combat in modern history. And in addition to their combat operations, Cord continues to address domestic threats by seizing weapons and explosives and apprehending criminals, including elimination of active shooter with hostages in Kyiv on April 18th. We understand that Cord urgently requires vans with sliding doors on both sides, suitable for reliable daily use. Given the importance of Cord's mission in Ukraine, we are eager to support them by providing this vehicle. We have already raised enough money to buy 3 vans for Kartelia, and with your support, we will get a 4th one for Cord. So Andrew Perpetua is doing this fundraiser. It's like Jake Bro. I don't know enough about this, but I trust Andrew and I trust Jake. And if you want to give to this fundraiser, you can just like take a still of this Andrews Institute. I will put the link below so that you can check this out and see for yourself. And if you want to give to this, it seems like a pretty worthy cause. Shout out is to Randy Cook. I honestly can't remember if I gave the shout out to Randy Cook yesterday or not because I'm just tired. So but maybe you get 2 shout outs, Randy. Thank you, YouTube member, colleague. Thank you, Randy, for your support. Trump must pressure Putin. And the reason that I'm talking about the importance of the Moscow strike, it's not just symbolic that it's in Moscow. It's this. Anna Klomsa posted this cartoon. That's right. The Russian people aren't paying attention until it comes home, until Russians in Moscow are feeling things like what happened. They're just not going to be doing anything about this or causing any friction in the system that will cause Putin to have to rethink things. I'm not even sure how much Putin is getting, how much of his information is being filtered. Like that's a bigger question, but this has to happen. All right, my friends, that's all that I have. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.